My parents demanded cover your brother's debt. You owe us, then secretly sold my house to finance his $400,000 business. So I nodded calmly and filed criminal charges that sent them to court facing 10 years each. Hey lovely people. Subscribe to be part of this family and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. With that, let's continue the story. I was reviewing quarterly reports when Mom's number lit up my phone. Tuesday afternoon, 2:47 p.m. I remember because I almost didn't answer. Presentations were due by 5. But you always answer your mother's calls, right? That's what good daughters do. Marissa, we need to talk about Fred. Her voice had that edge. The one that meant this wasn't a conversation. It was a directive. My younger brother Fred. 28 years old, 3 failed businesses, and a gift for disappointing everyone who believed in him. I loved him anyway. That's what big sisters do. What happened now? I asked, already pulling up my personal banking app. Over the years, I'd loaned Fred maybe $15,000. Small amounts. Rent here, car repair there. Money I never expected back but gave anyway because family helps family. He's in real trouble, baby. Real trouble. Mom's voice cracked. He owes some people $400,000. My hand froze on my mouse. $400,000? How is that even possible? That crypto business venture. The one with his friend Deshaun. It went bad, Marissa. Really bad. These people, they're not playing. They want their money by the end of next month. My heart hammered. Mom, that's insane. I don't have that kind of money just lying around. But you have the house, she said softly. Calculate it. Your house is worth at least $500,000. You could take out a loan or what? The air felt thin. We need to meet. Tonight. Your father and I, we have a solution. That word, solution, made my stomach drop. I should have known then. I should have recognized the trap closing around me. They sat in my living room like judges at a tribunal. Dad in the armchair, Mom on the couch, Fred standing by the window, unable to meet my eyes. I'd bought this house 3 years ago after saving for 7 years. Every mortgage payment felt like victory. Marissa, sit down, Dad said. His voice carried that military authority he never quite lost after 20 years in the service. I sat, coffee growing cold in my hands. Mom leaned forward, her expression soft, manipulative. Baby, you know we've always sacrificed for you kids. When you needed braces, we worked double shifts. When you wanted to go to that expensive college, we took out loans we're still paying off. Here it comes, I thought. The guilt trip. And you've done well for yourself, Dad continued, gesturing around my home. Financial analyst at a top firm. This beautiful house. No husband, no kids. You're stable. What's your point? I asked, though I already knew. Fred made mistakes, Mom said quickly. But these people, Marissa, they're threatening him. They know where he lives. They've made it clear what happens if he doesn't pay. Fred finally spoke, his voice small. I'm sorry, sis. I never meant for it to get this bad. I thought I could turn it around. I looked at my baby brother, remembering the kid who used to follow me around, who I'd protected from bullies, who cried when I left for college. What exactly are you asking me to do? Dad's jaw tightened. Take out a home equity loan. Give Fred the money. He'll pay you back when his new business takes off. His new business? I laughed, bitter. The one he's starting with whose money? You owe us, Mom said simply. After everything we've done. They didn't leave that night until past midnight. 3 hours of circular arguments, guilt and manipulation. Every no I offered hit a wall of family obligation. So you'd let your brother get hurt? Mom's eyes welled with tears. You'd live in this big house alone while Fred suffers? I worked for this house, I said, voice shaking. I sacrificed. I ate ramen for years, never took vacations, drove a 10-year-old car. This isn't just money, it's my security, my future. Dad stood abruptly. Your future? You're 32 years old with no prospects for marriage, no children. What are you saving this money for, Marissa? Who are you going to leave it to? The words hit like a slap. I'd recently ended a 3-year relationship when my ex, Trevor, couldn't handle my success. You make more than me and it messes with my head, he'd said. Another sacrifice at the altar of ambition. That's not fair, I whispered. Life isn't fair, Dad shot back. Family steps up. That's what we do. Or have you forgotten where you come from? After they left, I sat in the dark replaying every guilt-laden word. I called my best friend Belinda at 1 a.m. Girl, no, she said immediately after I explained. Don't you dare let them guilt you into this. $400,000? That's not helping family, that's financial suicide. But what if something happens to Fred? Then Fred deals with the consequences of his choices. You're not responsible for a grown man's mistakes, Marissa. Blood doesn't entitle them to destroy your life. But the seed was planted. Family. Obligation. Debt. If only I'd listened to Belinda. If only I'd seen what was coming. 3 days of phone calls. Mom crying. Dad silent and disappointed. Fred sending text messages. I'm scared, sis. I don't know what to do. Please. I caved. Not completely but enough. I'll take out a small loan, I told them at Sunday dinner. Maybe $50,000. Fred can use it to negotiate with these people, work out a payment plan. Mom's face fell. That's not enough, Marissa. They want it all. Then Fred needs to file bankruptcy, get a lawyer, explore other options. I'm willing to help, but I won't destroy my financial stability. What happened next should have been my warning sign. Dad and Mom exchanged a look. Not disappointment. Something else. Something calculated. Fine, Dad said. 50,000 is a start. We'll figure out the rest. I'll need a promissory note, I continued. Legal documentation. Payment terms. This needs to be official. Fred nodded eagerly. Absolutely. Whatever you need. Too eager. Too quick. That Wednesday I met with my mortgage broker Elena Rodriguez. She'd helped me buy this house, had celebrated with champagne when I got the keys. Marissa, I have to ask, why do you need this loan? Her dark eyes were concerned. Your financial profile is pristine. This seems impulsive. Family emergency, I said simply. My brother needs help. She slid papers across her desk. I'm obligated to remind you. Home equity loans use your house as collateral. If something goes wrong, nothing will go wrong. She studied me for a long moment. Hey, but promise me you're not being pressured. Because I've seen this before. Family members taking advantage of the successful one. I promise, I lied. 4 weeks passed. I'd transferred the $50,000 to Fred's account with a detailed promissory note. He signed it at my kitchen table, Mom and Dad as witnesses. Everything legal. Everything documented. Thank you, sis, Fred hugged me. I'm going to pay you back. I swear. But Fred's texts grew sparse. Then stopped. When I called, he'd answer briefly, handling it, sis. Don't worry. That's when the mail started arriving. Certified letters from my mortgage company. Official-looking documents I didn't understand at first. I called Elena in a panic. Marissa, I'm showing some unusual activity on your account. Her voice was tight. Can you come in immediately? I left work early, heart pounding. Elena's office felt different this time. Professional. Someone filed additional paperwork on your property, she said, sliding documents across her desk. A second deed application. When did you authorize this? My hands trembled as I read. Property transfer documentation. My house. My parents' names. My signature at the bottom. Except I'd never signed anything. I don't understand. I didn't sign this. Elena's expression was grim. This signature was notarized 3 weeks ago. According to these documents, you're transferring primary ownership to David and Martha Johnson. Your parents. The room spun. That's impossible. I would never. There's more. She pulled out another file. A home equity line of credit was opened against this property 2 weeks ago. $425,000. Disbursed in full. I couldn't breathe. No, that's not. I only authorized 50,000. Only 50. Did you give anyone access to your personal documents? Birth certificate, social security number, bank statements. I sat in my car outside Elena's office for an hour, hands shaking too violently to drive. My phone buzzed. Hey sweetie. Want to come for dinner this weekend? Casual. Light. Like she hadn't just stolen my house. I drove straight to their home. The modest ranch house I'd grown up in, where Dad still mowed the lawn every Saturday and Mom tended her roses. Fred's car was in the driveway. Of course it was. I didn't knock. My hands hammered on the door until Dad opened it, startled. Marissa? What? You forged my signature. My voice didn't sound like mine. You stole my house. Mom appeared behind him, drying her hands on a kitchen towel. That same soft expression. Baby, we need to talk calmly. Calmly. I pushed past them into the living room. Fred was there sitting on the couch, head in his hands. You forged documents. You took out a loan against my property. That's fraud. That's a felony. We did what we had to do, Dad said, closing the door. His voice was steady, unapologetic. For Fred. For this family. How? The word came out broken. How did you even do this? Mom sat down slowly. You gave me your documents last year, remember? When I helped you organize your filing cabinet during spring cleaning. I kept copies. Just in case. Just in case you needed to commit identity theft? We're your parents, she said simply. Legally it's complicated. You'll understand once you calm down. We needed to move quickly. Those people Fred owed. Were they even real? I looked at my brother. Fred, were these people even real? He couldn't meet my eyes. I owe some money but not 400,000, I finished. This was a setup. From the beginning. Dad stepped forward. Fred has a real opportunity this time. A business with actual potential. He needed capital. You have equity sitting there unused. We're family, what's yours is ours, what's ours is yours. You're insane. I backed toward the door. All of you. You committed fraud. You're going to prison. With what evidence? Dad crossed his arms. The signature is perfect. The notary is a family friend who'll confirm you were there. You gave us access to your documents voluntarily. The loan was approved because your credit is excellent. And you're going to let this happen? I turned to Fred. I protected you our entire childhood. When Jerome Williams tried to jump you after school, who stepped in? When you got suspended for cheating, who convinced the principal to give you another chance? Fred's voice was barely audible. They said it was the only way. Fred needed 400,000 for his new venture, Mom explained, her tone patient like she was talking to a child. You only wanted to give 50. We knew you'd never agree to the full amount, so we made an executive decision. As your parents. You stole from me. We borrowed, she corrected. Fred will pay it back. With what money? He's never successfully run a business. He's never paid me back anything he's borrowed. And now you've put my house, on the line for his fantasy. Dad's expression hardened. Lower your voice. The neighbors don't need to hear this drama. Drama? You committed a crime. Who are you going to tell? His voice was cold now. Calculated. The police? You want your own parents arrested? You want to be responsible for tearing this family apart? What would the church say? What would your grandmother say? Grandma Rose. She'd raised me when Mom worked nights. Taught me to cook, to pray, to stand up straight and speak with confidence. She was 87 now, living in an assisted care facility. The thought of her learning about this. This is blackmail, I whispered. This is family, Mom said firmly. And family protects each other. I left without another word. Drove home through blur of tears. My house. My beautiful house with the garden I'd planted, the kitchen I'd renovated myself, the office where I worked late nights building my career, was no longer mine. Belinda came over within the hour. She found me on the floor, surrounded by documents, trying to understand the legal nightmare. They forged everything, I explained, voice flat. Perfectly. They knew exactly what they were doing. Marissa, you have to report this. This is fraud, identity theft. With my parents as the perpetrators. My own blood. Belinda knelt beside me. Blood doesn't give anyone the right to destroy you. But it wasn't that simple. I spent the weekend researching, calling attorneys, understanding my options. Every lawyer said the same thing. Prosecuting family members for financial fraud is complex, emotionally devastating, and often unsuccessful. The courts hate these cases, one attorney explained. Family members have access to each other's documents legitimately. Proving intent to defraud is difficult when the defendant can claim implied permission or family understanding. But I never gave permission. Can you prove that definitively? Did you explicitly deny them access? Did you file a police report the moment you discovered the discrepancy? I hadn't. Because part of me kept hoping there was some mistake, some explanation that didn't involve my parents deliberately stealing from me. Monday morning I went to work. Focused on spreadsheets and market analysis. Anything but the nightmare at home. My phone buzzed constantly. Mom, let's talk this through. Dad, you're overreacting. Fred, I'm sorry, can we please just talk? I blocked them all. That evening I sat in my car outside the police station for 2 hours, unable to go inside. I didn't file a report that night. Or the next. I was paralyzed by the weight of what it meant. Pressing charges against my parents meant public scandal, family destruction, potential prison time for the people who raised me. But inaction meant losing everything I'd worked for. Grandma Rose called on Thursday. Baby girl, your mama says you're going through something. Want to talk about it? I drove to the care facility. Found her in the garden tending the roses they let her plant. She looked so small, so fragile. How could I tell her? Grandma, if someone betrayed you, someone you loved, but holding them accountable meant destroying them, what would you do? She studied me with those sharp eyes that missed nothing. This about your parents? I nodded, tears finally breaking free. Tell me everything. So I did. Every detail. The manipulation, the forgery, the theft. She listened without interruption, her weathered hands holding mine. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Your grandfather, may he rest in peace, used to say, love without boundaries is just another word for abuse. But they're my parents. And you're their daughter. Which means they should have protected you, not stolen from you. He squeezed my hands. Marissa, I raised your mother better than this. Whatever consequences come from their choices, that's on them, not you. You understand? Everyone will hate me. Everyone who matters will understand. And those who don't. She smiled sadly. They're not your people anyway. That night I made my decision. Saturday morning I walked into the police station, documents in hand, and filed a formal complaint for identity theft, forgery, and fraud. The officer taking my statement looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, you understand this will likely result in criminal charges against your parents? I understand. And your brother if he was complicit. I understand. Detective Maria Santos was assigned to my case. A woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She spread my documents across her desk, studying each one carefully. This is extensive fraud, she said finally. The forgery is sophisticated. They knew what they were doing. My father was military. He's meticulous about everything. And the notary who supposedly witnessed your signature? I've never met him. They claimed he was a family friend. Detective Santos made notes. We'll interview him first. If he falsified notary documents, that's a separate crime. Then we'll bring your parents in for questioning. How long will this take? These investigations are thorough. Weeks, possibly months. I need you to prepare yourself. This will get ugly. Family cases always do. He was right. 2 weeks later, my phone exploded with messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all with opinions. How could you report your own parents? Family handles things privately. You're going to send them to prison over money? My cousin Tanya called furious. Your parents are facing felony charges because of you. 10 years in prison, Marissa. Does that make you happy? They stole $425,000 from me, I said calmly. They forged my signature, committed identity theft, and did it deliberately. What would you have me do? Family forgives. You work it out. You don't destroy people's lives. They destroyed mine first. The church got involved. Pastor Williams called, suggesting mediation. Sister Marissa, I understand you're hurt, but prison? Is that really what God would want? God wouldn't want them to steal either. But forgiveness doesn't mean no consequences. 4 months after I filed the complaint, my parents were arrested. I wasn't there, but my uncle sent me photos of them in handcuffs, faces shocked and angry. The caption, "Happy now." I wasn't happy. I was devastated, hollow, furious, and somehow also numb. The arraignment was public. I sat in the back, hood up, sunglasses on. The prosecutor outlined the charges: identity theft, forgery, fraud, conspiracy. Each word landed like a hammer. My mother cried throughout. My father sat stone-faced. Fred, charged as an accessory, looked broken. Their attorney argued for bail. These are upstanding community members. Church leaders. No flight risk. Their daughter's vendetta shouldn't. Objection. The prosecutor cut in. The victim's pursuit of justice is not a vendetta. The defendants committed serious crimes involving sophisticated fraud. Bail was set at $50,000 each. They paid it within hours. Money they suddenly had access to. Outside the courthouse, reporters ambushed me. "Miss Johnson, how do you feel about your parents facing prison time?" "No comment." "Some people are calling you vindictive." "Pooh." "What's your response?" I stopped, turned to face the cameras. "I'm a victim of identity theft and fraud. The fact that my parents are the perpetrators doesn't change that. Accountability isn't cruelty. It's justice." That night my statement went viral. Social media exploded into warfare. Half the comments supported me. Family doesn't mean enabling criminals. The other half crucified me. Ungrateful daughter destroying her parents over money. Belinda stayed over, monitoring my phone. Don't read the comments. Half these people don't even know the full story. But I did read them. Every cruel word. Every accusation. Every person calling me heartless, vindictive, a disgrace. The weight was crushing. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I testified for 6 hours across 2 days, recounting every detail. The manipulation, the pressure, the discovery of the fraud. Their attorney tried to paint me as a vengeful daughter, but the evidence was overwhelming. The forged signatures. The fraudulent notary statement. Text messages between my parents discussing how to handle Marissa. Bank records showing they'd immediately transferred money to Fred's new business account. Most damning, recordings. I'd started recording our conversations after the confrontation. In one, Dad explicitly stated, "We did what we had to do. She'll get over it." The jury deliberated for 2 days. I wasn't in the courtroom when the verdict came back. Belinda called me, voice shaking. "Guilty. All counts. All 3 of them." I sat on my bathroom floor and finally let myself break completely. Sentencing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. The prosecutor pushed for maximum penalties, 10 years each. Their attorney begged for leniency. These are good people who made desperate choices for their son. The judge, an older black woman named Judge Thompson, studied the case files for what felt like hours. Finally, she spoke. "I've presided over many fraud cases. What makes this particularly egregious is the betrayal of trust. Parents are supposed to protect their children, not exploit them. The level of premeditation here, the careful planning, the sophisticated execution, demonstrates clear criminal intent." He paused, looking directly at my parents. "However, I also recognize this is a family torn apart by poor choices. I'm sentencing each of you to 5 years in prison with possibility of parole after 3 years. Additionally, full restitution to the victim, including all legal fees." My mother collapsed. My father remained rigid. Fred looked relieved. He'd taken a plea deal for 3 years in exchange for testimony. 2 years have passed. My parents are still in prison. Fred was released after 18 months, good behavior. He sent me a letter last month. I haven't opened it. I got my house back technically, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. Every room carries the weight of what happened. I'm selling it next month. Starting over somewhere new. Grandma Rose passed away 6 months ago. Peacefully in her sleep. At her funeral, my mother was there in handcuffs and prison transport. He tried to approach me. I walked away. I never wanted this. I wanted my family. I wanted Sunday dinners and phone calls and inside jokes. I wanted my little brother to succeed, my parents to be proud, my life to be normal. Instead, I have justice. Legal justice. Cold, factual, documented justice. But justice doesn't fill the silence in my house. It doesn't answer when I call needing advice. It doesn't show up for holidays or celebrate promotions or care when I'm sick. People tell me I did the right thing. That I stood up for myself. That I set boundaries. Maybe I did. But the cost was everything I loved. Some days I wonder if it was worth it. If I should have just taken the loss, preserved the relationship, swallowed the betrayal. But then I remember my father's cold eyes saying, "Who are you going to tell?" I remember being erased from my own property. I remember being nothing but a resource to be exploited. Oh, I couldn't live like that. Last week I changed my name. New first name, new last name. Cutting the final tie. Marissa Johnson is dead. The woman I am now? She's still figuring it out. I'm in therapy twice a week. Building new friendships. Learning to trust again slowly. Some days are better than others. But I'm free. Legally, financially, emotionally. No one owns me. No one can manipulate me. No one can use family as a weapon ever again. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to choose between family and self-preservation? Let's talk about it. And remember, setting boundaries isn't betrayal. It's survival. The price of my freedom was everything I loved. But slavery wrapped in family obligation is still slavery. And I'd rather be alone and whole than surrounded and broken. Some endings aren't happy. They're just necessary.